The Joe Rogan Experience.
So let's talk about your tournament.
The tournament. All right.
Where did this come from, first of all? Because you've competed at Abu Dhabi. This is what I don't understand. You're gonna go head to head with ADCC, which is the biggest grappling organization in the world. By the way, that's Gordon Ryan's belt up there. If you want to look at it.
Gordon Ryan. Oh man, I might take that home with me. Yeah. How can I got the money to buy it? Well, I mean, what started it? Well, obviously you can't win a tournament. You put your own tournament on that you can win, and probably lose anyway. I mean, really, it's for the growth of the sport. We're getting some beef involved, some Tupac Biggie, Drake Kendrick energy to this, but really to compensate the athletes well and to raise some money for charity along the way.
And who's funding this thing?
That's one of those things, you know. Your girl takes a trip to the UAE. She comes back with a handbag. You don't talk about it. You don't ask too many questions, you know.
You brought with you $1 million in cash, which I've never seen before. I've never seen $1 million in one place. I've never even seen $1 million check.
Should we tip this out?
Yeah, I guess tip it out. Let's make sure we don't spill any. Ladies and gentlemen, that is $1 million in cash.
Falls stays.
That is so ridiculous. Look at that. That's so crazy. Wow. Whoever is running this really trusts you.
They
Because
shouldn't.
those are loose. They're like a lot of these are just kind of flying around.
Flopping around here, you know.
Yeah,
They have way too much faith in me.
Yeah, a lot of faith in you.
I mean, this was to prove it. I had the idea. I was like, I'll bring a prop $1 million on Joe Rogan. But I was thinking then, they already don't believe I have the money. So if I pulled out a prop $1 million and you were like, oh, that's fake money, then I'm like, oh, my tournament's fucked. So we had to source. I had to do some bad things for that.
So how's one even get $1 million out of a bank? That's got to be a pain in the ass, right?
Yeah, so my buddy that's helping me out with this basically called his bank. He said, I need $1 million on Thursday. They said, yo, that takes 2 to 3 weeks. And he's like, get me the $1 million on Thursday or I'll find a bank that can. And that put the energy in him to get it. Here we are.
So what does this guy do that he has all this loot?
I really don't want to say. I'm going to keep it all directed at me. It's all above board legal, you know what I mean? But we're sort of keeping it mysterious. I want any negative energy towards the tournament come in my direction, not the anonymous sugar daddy in the background.
Okay. So you don't want to say like what the business is, or does the business profit off of this at all? Does this benefit the business to do this? Whatever he's doing?
Their business? I mean, we're running it as a non-profit. So like obviously for people that want to support the sport of jiu-jitsu, like we're going to donate basically all the ticket sales of this event towards different charities. So we really want to do this as a non-profit because my thoughts were if jiu-jitsu doesn't make a profit, we might as well make a non-profit.
Okay. Well, does jiu-jitsu make no profit? Like Abu Dhabi doesn't turn a profit, right? It's done primarily because of the sheikh's love of the sport.
It's like a passion project. But I mean, sort of my problem with the latest event is like we're selling so many tickets and their event is in T-Mobile. Mm-hmm. T-Mobile's super expensive. As far as I know, I remember their event organizer posted the amount they paid for T-Mobile, and it was basically 2 of these. So I was
just to rent out the venue.
Just to rent out,
and you were at the Thomas and Mack.
Yeah. So the previous event they were at Thomas and Mack. So I just thought, hey, I might as well check how much Thomas and Mack cost, and it was a lot cheaper. So in my opinion, we're really doing this because the prize money's been the same for so long. A lot of events don't pay a lot of money, but obviously ADCC is the biggest.
Right.
And this sells a lot of ticket sales, but really they made a lateral move in the venue that didn't really grow much in the way of seating, and none of that money really
How much does Thomas and Mack seat?
I think we'll have about 11,000 seats for this one.
And T-Mobile's what, 18?
I think 18, yeah. So not massive difference, and really ADCC prize money stayed the same. So their prize money, you have to win 4 matches to get 10K. Not that I'd know because I could never fucking win it, but we're going to do 2 divisions and pay 100 times that amount of money to the division winners.
So 10K is the winner of ADCC.
And we're going to pay $10,001 to show up to that tournament.
10,001?
We'll throw an extra $1. That's for me personally.
So anybody who competes gets $10,000? Really? So even if you just get smoked?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking of the other guys like me in these tournaments that don't make the final, compensate everyone, you know?
Well, that is nice, but ADCC's never made money, right? So for them, raising the money would just be losing more money.
Yeah, I mean, but if you could sell 11,000 seats, you know what I mean? Like if you could sell streaming rights to an event, I feel like some of that should go back towards the athletes rather than just spending it all on production. Like a lot of people talk about the cost of production and it's important to grow a sport, but I really feel like at least the athlete compensation should go up a little bit. You know, like in terms of ticket sales, some of that should go back towards the athletes.
Even if the ADCC is not making any money at all?
But in terms of, they do make money, but it's where they spend it. They choose to spend it on production rather than the athletes.
Right, but it's not profitable. Like it's, in terms of the organization itself, is not really profitable, I don't believe.
Well, I would imagine if they had chose Thomas and Mack with the streaming rights and the cost of the venue like that they've spent on T-Mobile, for sure they would have made a profit off this event. You could curtail production costs down. Like it's not going to be that crazy if you choose the right venue. My opinion is grappling's amazing, but I don't think we're ready for T-Mobile. That's a massive, expensive venue.
Right. Well, the Thomas and Mack was very impressive last year. It was very impressive, the whole overall production and just the scope of it and the amount of fans that came out to watch ADCC. It was pretty impressive.
It's crazy, yeah. It's crazy. Obviously,
Yeah.
I've never competed in front of that many people before. It was awesome. It was an awesome spectacle. And that was basically my opinion. Is like, why are we making a lateral move? In my opinion, when we could still keep the same venue.
So what was the idea about going head-to-head with ADCC? If you want to grow the sport, wouldn't it be better to do it in an alternative weekend? That way the people that compete at ADCC can also compete at your event?
Well, obviously athletes can't do both, but in terms of for the fans will be able to go to our event Friday, Saturday, still see ADCC finals on Sunday. But in terms of doing it at the same weekend, we're really trying to make a stand that like the athletes can unify in this sense, and we can get compensated better. Because again, none of the athletes care where we compete. You know what I mean? Like we want to make as the sport grows, grappling's growing. Obviously, thanks to people like you, you've blown it up. Whenever you shout us out, our followers go up. So, I mean, the events are getting more eyes on it. People are more ticket sales. Like we should get at least some token gesture of a payment increase.
Well, I think the best case scenario out of this is that ADCC does ramp it up and that the sport does get more eyeballs because people are aware of this huge increase in pay. And then look, I always feel like competition is good. I just don't necessarily like the idea of going head to head because I feel like it just kind of messes with the athletes because it puts them in a situation where they have to choose, first of all, between ADCC and the Craig Jones Invitational. And if they do that, ADCC is going to probably hold a grudge.
I mean, hopefully not.
Well, hopefully they
they don't hold a grudge to me.
But likely they will. I mean, doesn't it make sense that they would? I mean, if you're kind of crippling their organization by taking the elite guys and offering them potential for, like, how many people are going to jump ship? Do you know?
Oh, I mean, who have we got confirmed already? We've got Theon Davies, past champion. The Tackett brothers were the first two. We've got Nicky Ryan. I'm going to announce today Nicky Rod's jumping across. We got Luke Rockhold in there. We threw him in because he's honestly pretty impressive. He tapped me out in the gym. I was like, fuck it, we'll throw him in. In terms of the under, we got Joseph Chen. So, I mean, a lot of people are going to make the move. And what's interesting to me, I can't say any names in particular, but a lot of the old legends obviously want to be a part of this event. I think they want to support the cause. You know, I mean, and you say make the athletes make a choice. I mean, really, they should be able to make the choice if there's an event with such a huge amount of prize money on display. You know, the argument is prestige versus prize money, and my argument is if the prize money's there, that becomes the most prestigious event.
Yeah, it does. It does ramp up the prestige, but will this happen again? Is this a one-time thing, or are you guys planning on doing multiple ones of these?
Yeah, we want to do it. We don't ADCC every 2 years, so most of the time the guys have to wait every 2. We want to do it every year.
Well, that would be good. Then there'd be a year where it's not in competition.
We don't want to just kill another organization and then I just disappear off into the sunset, maybe sneak a couple million, but we want to do it every year for sure. The goal is really to raise money for charities and do some film projects around the world using jiu-jitsu, really helping out some underprivileged kids and stuff.
Well, the whole idea of using it for charity is beautiful. That's amazing. But is this guy willing to fork up this kind of, like, does he have a commitment to do this more than once?
I mean, basically, he says if, hey, we do a good job of this one, you can do it every year. He's super invested in the sport of jiu-jitsu, loves it.
And this guy's just throwing loot away.
Throwing a lot of loot away. Thank God. Thank God.
That's a crazy thing to commit to, though. I mean, even no matter how rich you are. I mean, because if you're giving away $3 million in prize money, is that what it is?
Yeah,
so how's it go all together?
We basically got a budget of $3 million, and we decided to give $2.3 million of that to the athletes, and the rest we're going to spend on production. Obviously, we're going to have sponsors come in. We're going to work with particular sponsors, but we're going to, again, the ticket sales, that's going to charity, and we're really allowing some of the athletes to choose. Like if we have an influential grappler and stuff, we're not really trying to leverage the money we have. We're saying, hey, if we get you on board, we're happy to donate a percentage of the ticket sales to a charity of your choice. So we give them a bit of freedom in who they want to help.
Well, that's nice. And if this does go well, like what's the when you say go well, like what are the guidelines? What are you trying to achieve in terms of like going well to do this again?
I mean, based on the investment and how much money we can raise for charity is really the goal there. Like if we can sell out Thomas and Mac and we can demonstrate that we can do this in a cost-effective way, we can bring in more sponsors, definitely going to keep doing this every year.
Well, like I said, I think competition is always great, and I think just more eyeballs and more people paying attention to it is great for the sport. Obviously, I love jiu-jitsu, and I think the athletes getting paid $1 million to win first place is fantastic. I mean, because we both know that most athletes don't make much money off of actual competition. The money that they do make, they usually make in seminars and
OnlyFans.
Yeah, holy, that's you.
Yeah, that's a lot of underwear I had to sell,
OnlyFans and what else? I guess DVDs.
Yeah, I mean, that's the number one revenue source for athletes would be instructionals. But, like, again, that's like you can win the biggest tournaments in the world. It doesn't necessarily translate to seminars, doesn't translate to instructionals. Really, that's the sad thing. It's like you hold certain events so high that you're like, when I win that, I'm going to make it. Mm-hmm. But then there'll be some arsehole like me that never won but outsells you. That doesn't make, you know what I mean? It's like it's not, your life's not set if you win one of these events. But if you win $1 million as a grappler, you're pretty well set up, especially if you're like a grappler from a poorer country. Like $1 million US and Brazil is going to go a long, long way. And
also, it's just going to elevate the whole profile of the sport. Just people knowing that $1 million is going towards the first place grapplers. And then, like, has UFC Fight Pass had a positive impact? Has that helped at all?
For sure. I mean, obviously, it helps so much. Like, my dream's always taking on MMA guys, Like, they got the clout, they got the big name. So, obviously, UFC Fight Pass helped that happen. But, I mean, Techi's put a lot of work into the Fight Pass events, and those are very, very popular. I think that would be the pinnacle of sort of professional super fight events.
And what is, like if you fight in UFC Fight Pass, like, what is a big payday at UFC Fight Pass?
I know some of the athletes might get, I don't even know how I should say it. Techi will probably kill me, but I mean, it's broad. Like, it could go from 10 to six figures, really. And again, that's the thing. When you compete for an event like a tournament, you might face 4 guys. Like, for me personally, I might face 4 guys that I could have made much more money facing off in a super fight setting.
Right.
So it really, like, in terms of the investment, the commitment, the training, the time to prepare for potentially 4 opponents, to win something like $10,000, when if I just had 4 super fights,
right,
I'd make so much more money. Obviously, wouldn't get the medal.
And the amount of money that you're going to spend in the camp anyway, just with nutrition, supplements,
steroids, the damage you do to your body.
All the jazz, everything. You mean you're spending $10,000 anyway?
Yeah, your blood pressure goes up, your liver values go up. You push it to you redline it for a thing like ADCC.
Well, that is the craziest thing about the sport is that steroids are openly tolerated. It's probably the only elite professional sport where, particularly because of Gordon, because Gordon's been so open about steroids, that everyone knows that the athletes are on juice.